Albert's eyes snapped open to the sterile white ceiling of the quarantine pod. The hum of life support systems filled his ears, a sound that had become as familiar as his own heartbeat during the 6-month journey from Earth to the Kepler 440b colony station. He turned his head, expecting to see the empty expanse of his assigned sleeping quarters, the same solitary space he'd occupied since departure. Instead, his breath caught in his throat. A woman lay beside him, not just any woman. Through the translucent shimmer of what appeared to be a stasis field, he could make out delicate features framed by silver hair that seemed to glow with its own bioluminescence. She wore robes of a material he'd never seen before, something that shifted between solid and liquid, catching light that shouldn't exist in the dim pod. Albert scrambled backward, his hand slamming against the emergency comm panel. "Station Control, this is Pod 7 Alpha. I have an unauthorized presence in my quarters. Repeat, unauthorized, stand down, Specialist Martinez." The voice of Commander Chen crackled through the speaker, unusually tense. "We're aware of the situation. Do not, I repeat, do not touch the subject." The subject. Albert stared at the sleeping figure. Now that his initial panic had subsided, he noticed the gentle rise and fall of her chest, the way her fingers twitched slightly as if caught in a dream. "Commander, who is she?" A pause. Then, "She's why we're really here, Albert. The colony mission was a cover. That woman in your pod is Princess Elsa of the Luminary, the first extraterrestrial royalty humanity has ever encountered." Albert's mind reeled. The Luminary. He'd heard whispers during training fragments of classified briefings that mentioned first contact, diplomatic protocols, things above his pay grade as a botanical specialist. But a princess? In his sleeping pod? Why is she here? Why with me? "We don't know." Chen's voice carried a weight of concern. 3 hours ago, our long-range sensors detected a massive energy signature approaching the station. Before we could raise shields, someone teleported directly into the station. She appeared in your pod, already in that stasis state. Our xenobiologists believe it's a protective cocoon of sorts. Albert studied the sleeping princess more carefully. Up close, he could see that her skin had an almost crystalline quality, reflecting light in patterns that reminded him of snowflakes. Her presence filled the room with a strange coolness, not uncomfortable, but distinctly alien. Has she shown any signs of waking? Negative. But Albert, her biosignatures are synchronizing with yours. Heart rate, breathing patterns, even your brainwave activity is beginning to mirror. Whatever the stasis field is, it's linking you two together. A chill ran down Albert's spine that had nothing to do with the temperature. "What does that mean?" "We're not sure, but we need you to remain calm and maintain your current proximity. If she's here, there's a reason. The Luminary don't do anything without purpose." Hours passed in strange vigil. Albert sat cross-legged on his bunk, watching the princess sleep, monitoring every subtle change in her appearance. The station's xenolinguist, Dr. Patel, had piped through his preliminary analysis. The Luminary were an ancient species, spacefaring when humanity still huddled in caves. Their technology bordered on the mystical, their culture built around concepts of destiny and cosmic alignment, records indicate. Dr. Patel explained through the comm that Luminary royalty undergo a ritual called the Awakening Journey when they reach maturity. They're sent into stasis and transported across the galaxy by their own biosignature, essentially sleepwalking through space until they find their resonance, their destined companion. "You're saying she's here because of destiny?" Albert couldn't keep the skepticism from his voice. "I'm saying their science operates on principles we barely understand. Quantum entanglement on a biological level. She found you, Albert, out of billions of humans across known space. That means something." As if responding to his words, the shimmer around Elsa began to fade. Albert leaned forward, his heart hammering. Her eyes fluttered, open eyes like galaxies. Deep purple shot through with stars that actually seemed to move. She focused on him, and Albert felt something shift in his chest, recognition, not of her face, but of something deeper, something that resonated in his very atoms. "You are Albert." Her voice was melodic, carrying harmonics that made the air vibrate. "I have dreamed of you for cycles beyond counting. I'm nobody, just a botanist. There must be some mistake. Elsa sat up gracefully, the last of the stasis field dissolving like morning mist. She reached out, her hand hovering inches from his face. "May I?" Albert nodded, unable to speak. Her fingers touched his temple, and suddenly his mind exploded with images. Vast gardens spanning entire moons, plants that sang and danced with bioluminescence, crops that could feed billions grown from the knowledge in his head. He saw himself and Elsa standing together before a council of beings made of light, presenting solutions to a galaxy-wide famine, you see? She whispered, "Your people call it chance. We call it confluence. Your knowledge of Earth's botanical diversity, your genetic markers, your soul's frequency, it all aligns with what my people desperately need. And what you need." She pulled her hand away, and Albert gasped. In that brief contact, he'd felt purpose like he'd never known. Every plant he'd ever studied, every hybrid he'd created in his lab back on Earth, that had all been preparing him for this moment. "The galaxy is dying, Albert. Old species consume resources faster than they can be replenished. But Earth, young, vibrant Earth, holds keys to sustainability we've forgotten. And you hold those keys in your mind. So this is about agriculture?" Despite everything, Albert almost laughed. "You traveled across space for a gardener?" Elsa's smile could have lit entire solar systems. "I traveled across space for the man who will save countless worlds, and who will stand beside me as we unite our peoples." She extended her hand formally. "Will you help me, Albert of Earth?" He looked at her hand, glowing softly in the dim light. Behind him, through the calm, he could hear Commander Chen and the others holding their breath. Humanity's first real test in the galactic community. Not a warrior, not a diplomat, a botanist. Albert took her hand. The moment their fingers intertwined, every plant on the station bloomed simultaneously, a riot of color and life that would be talked about for generations. "Yes," he said simply. "Let's grow something beautiful together." Outside the viewport, stars wheeled in their ancient dance, and the galaxy held its breath for the partnership that would change everything.